Huang has been released. We got it. We've got the new field commander for archers. We got all the skills that the game has released. We've also got the rally commander, and Shapur is the rally commander, but we're going to talk about this archer commander for the field because he's going to be nuts. And we really had to do a whole lot of figuring it out because he's got a kit we have never seen before. So stick around as we figure it out together. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I put out videos all the time. And we are talking about the new commander that has just come out in the game. And we're going to affectionately call him Qin, okay? This is him. This is how this guy works. And he is known as the Eternal Emperor of China. Back in ancient Chinese history, this guy combined all the kingdoms. I mean, he's a stud. He's unbelievable. And they give us an archer commander. We needed something. Archers have been lagging for a while. And even though they can have great commanders, you still have the issue with archers being targeted. Well, this guy's going to be targeted because he's that good. It is incredible what he does. It's new and it's different. Let me just show you real quick what it does. I'm going to show you how this guy fights, and it's going to be really, really weird. So just bear with me. But this is how it shows up. You can see those red numbers going off nonstop. The red numbers go off nonstop. And it is really, really crazy to see how those things work. And so his AoE is there. The artwork he's got for his active skill is really cool. You got a kind of a flying dragon. But we're trying to figure this out. Like, what is going on here? How is it red numbers all the time? And these marches aren't even swarming him. So what is this, AoE red numbers every second? Yeah, that's what it is. So let's talk about it. As we go into his skills, as you can see, first and foremost, he's going to be an archer, versatility, and skill commander. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward for a lot of archer commanders that are just like this. You give them the skill tree, and it works out really, really well. So that's kind of where we're at with him when it comes to what his talent tree is going to be. So when you go over here to his active skill, this is where it gets crazy. Something I want everybody to see and understand. At the top, on the 1 conquer 6, okay? At the top, you see not rage requirement, but rage consumption, okay? Everybody's got to rethink this because this is not a rage requirement. This is not a situation where this guy is gathering rage and he hits a threshold and he runs his active skill like all the other commanders. This is a rage consumption. Okay, so when he consumes rage, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, when we go through his kit, we're going to explain how all this stuff works because he's completely different than any commander we have ever seen. So if you look at this, you've got 1,000 rage consumed, okay? And it says this commander's troops gain the Eternal Emperor effect for 10 seconds. Whenever their troop deals direct damage with a basic attack via the Iron Pierces Bronze skill, you can see that below. That's the second skill. We'll talk about that. When you do that, it also deals 60% of the damage to up to 5 other nearby enemy troops. Okay, so this is an AoE situation. You're going to deal additional damage or extra damage to 5 other troops. Now that damage is nerfed a little bit, just like any other AoE. But what is that? What does that even mean? Like, what's the damage factor with this? Well, let's go to his second skill. Whenever this commander's troop launches a basic attack, it spends 100 rage. Okay, so every turn it's going to spend 100 rage. So when it spends 100 rage, it's consuming 100 rage. So you see at the top where it says rage consumed, you're feeding it. So you got to feed this guy rage because he's gonna consume it or spend it, and then that's going to trigger his active skills. This won't trigger without the sufficient rage. So every turn you're going to be feeding him rage. And what that's going to do is it's going to convert the damage into direct damage. Oh my goodness. You're going to convert basic damage into direct damage. That's what that means. This commander's archer units also gain 20% march speed, 30% defense, and 20% health when they contain only archer marches. That is a 70% stat stick. That is wild 30% defense, 20% health. That is meta levels. That's God tier levels when it comes to stat sticks of a commander, okay? And real passive, easy. Here's your stats. That is absolutely crazy. But if you go back up to that and you think about this, that's why you saw all those red numbers. Because basic attack, white numbers that this commander does, he converts them to skill damage. You don't have white numbers. Let's look at that video again. Look at the march at the bottom with all the red numbers. There's no white numbers. There's none. It's all skill damage. Even the march he's hitting, the target has no white numbers. It's all skill damage, which is really, really crazy. Okay, let's go to his third skill, shall we? When you look at his third skill, I'm gonna go over here because this is the third skill. And when you look at his third skill overall, Thunder Shakes Earth. Okay, if this commander's troops is in the field and has been outside your city for 10 seconds, okay. So now you got to be outside your city for 10 seconds, kind of like a Huo effect. It gains the Eternal Emperor effect for 8 seconds whenever it enters combat. Okay, well, so the Eternal Emperor effect to do that AoE effect is pretty much perpetual because you get a new 10 seconds of that every active skill. There's no cooldown there. So that's just like a perpetual effect. So he's basically got the AoE perpetual effect all the time. So it says this can trigger once every 60 seconds, but if you're in the field and you're going back and forth fighting, you're gonna reset for 60 seconds and go again, or you're just gonna keep running your active skill and keeping that Eternal Emperor effect of the active skill going all the time. Okay, so whenever their troop deals direct damage with iron, pierces bronze, or Eternal Emperor effect, those are all the red numbers we saw, it spends 20 rage. And it gives that caveat, it won't trigger without sufficient rage. It's gonna consume 20 rage to deal extra damage to all targets and drain. Oh my gosh, we got a drain effect. It's gonna drain 10 rage from each target. The damage factor is 200. Okay, that's gonna be able to consume a lot of rage. You want to consume the rage, plus you're draining rage, so you have a rage mitigation, and you're stealing that and taking it for yourself. This is absolutely really, really cool and new for the game. All right, let's go to the fourth skill. All right, this is the fourth skill. Valor Bests Despair. Okay, if the commander's troop is attacking a field troop, well, he's a field commander, that's great. If they are the primary commander, so he has to be primary, their troop gains 500 rage upon entering combat. This is what people have to understand. He will never hit 1,000 rage. And it doesn't matter if he does, because this Qin commander, he will not do his active skill with 1,000 rage. He does his active skill by consuming 1,000 rage. So they're already giving you 500 when you enter battle. Awesome. So now you have all these effects like we talked about with that drain and hitting other marches and spending 100 rage every turn on the pierce of the iron pierces brawn second skill. So you have that rage stuff going on where you're consuming rage. Now their troops take 10% less normal damage. That's great. We're going to take 10% less smite. We're going to take 10% less combo damage, and we're going to take 10% less damage from like Attila, white numbers. Whenever their troop takes direct damage, smite damage, combo damage, okay, so basically direct damage, which is skill damage, smite damage, or combo damage with 300 plus damage factor. Okay, so that's not just a small proc, that's a big damage factor. It spends 40 rage. Okay, we're consuming more rage. All right, this is going fast. You spend 40 rage to reduce the damage by 40%. That damage by 40%? That is a big damage mitigation. Holy cow. That is a massive damage mitigation. And you're spending the rage because you want to spend the rage to run your active skills. That's crazy. This can trigger a total of 6 times per second. Each enemy troop can only trigger the effect once per second. But in 1 second, if you're in the murder ball and you get hit with 2 or 3 or 4 active skills, skill damage, smite damage, combo damage, you get hit with that from AoE all at the same time, this thing could go spend 120 rage and mitigate all that damage by 40%. That is a massive tanky mitigation, and it gives you the rage. Like, you have to look at spending rage is like getting rage for any other commander. That's crazy. That is nuts. So let's look at his expertise, because his expertise is basically an enhancement of the third skill. Okay, so now when you leave the city for 10 seconds, you get 10 seconds of Eternal Emperor. That's not much of a change. It's not going to matter anyways. When your troops deals direct damage with Iron Pierces Bronze or the Eternal Emperor effect, it spends 25 rage. Okay, more rage that you get to spend to deal direct damage. So the direct damage is going from 200, the damage factor is going from 200 to 250 there at the bottom, and you're draining now 15 rage instead of 10 rage. Holy cow. What does this mean? Oh my gosh. So this guy does no white numbers. He does none. He doesn't do any basic attack. That's all converted to red numbers. He is exclusively a skill damage commander. First time we've ever seen that. Ever. That's incredible. So let's talk about this, because this is pretty wild. He only does skill damage. That's going to change some things. Okay, let's look at this real quick and let's see how you see his rage bar? How quick it's going up? That rage bar that he has on the left of his icon there, that is not calculating how much rage he has. That calculates how much rage he consumes. Look how often he fires that thing off. Now his active skill isn't doing necessarily more damage. It's just reapplying the Eternal Emperor effect. But he's got Zuge behind him. And look how fast Zuge is firing off. Holy jeez, this is out of control. Okay, this is totally new in the game. And there's a couple of things that we got to talk about. First of all, the pairings, okay? And when we talk about the pairings, they had Zuge right there. Zuge's easy to pair him with. He's got crazy amounts of AoE damage factor, and he also has got some health bonuses. He's got some other different bonuses he does, and he's even got a skill damage bonus. That's good, because now all you're doing is skill damage. So that's like an all damage bonus. That is really, really good. And then gaining 50% attack for 3 seconds is really good, because you got to remember, Qin and his skill is converting the basic attack into direct damage. He's converting the basic attack into skill damage. And so if your attack is higher, that number is going to be higher. And then obviously, you've obviously got the Marquee effect, which is really, really good. So you got some cool synergies with ZL. And ZL is just a super strong commander, so that's going to be an obvious choice. You know what else is going to be an obvious choice? Because a lot of other people were talking about maybe Herman. Herman just has the debuff, but you need a rage engine with this guy. You really need a rage engine. And ZL obviously has a little bit of a rage engine when it comes to this, because he's an archer commander and he's able to actually enhance some rage when it comes to some of this stuff. And so he gives you this. Their troops gain 30 rage whenever you deal skill damage with Burning of Zin or the Marquee effect, you gain 30 rage. That's a rage engine. That's really good, because you want to consume as much rage as possible with Qin. Well, Herman, I don't think will be quite as good. He doesn't have a rage engine, okay? And at the same time, he's more of a debuffer than he is a skill damage buffer. He does have an effect where he does 20% more AoE skill damage. Well, that's all AoE damage that you guys saw. And so Herman maybe could be okay, but you know who else could be really good? Philip. You know why? It's the same concept I use with Attila Philip. The reason why Attila Philip works is because you're grabbing 40%. It says 20% here times 2. Okay, you're grabbing 40% all damage from Philip when he does his active skill. Well, he also has the extra proc of his active skill. So that can happen throughout the skill cycle. Well, the reason why Attila Philip works is because Attila does a lot of damage every single second. He does a lot of damage every single second. Well, duh. Look at what this guy does every second. So wonderful synergies with Philip, because you're going to be efficient to maximize that all damage every single second. So when you get a 40% all damage for a couple of seconds, you're getting the benefit of that. That's what makes Philip good. But do you know what's crazy? Do you know what's going to work better than anything? Cortex and I were streaming about this, and he saw it. I had already gone through it all, and I already had this in the back of my mind. We talked about it on the stream, and then he got in there and he goes, you know who's going to work great? And I said, I know you think you know. And he was right. YSG. YSG is going to be meta with this guy. And here's the reason why. Boom. 50% skill damage. This is perpetual, and it happens all the time. Skill damage is like all damage to Qin. okay? Because he only does skill damage every second. 50% skill damage from YSG. Are you kidding me? YSG skill damage. And then guess what? You get another 12%, 62% skill damage. And YSG gives you 20% defense from his museum buff. That's 50% defense when he's paired with Qin. 50% defense with 20% health and some march speed. Now, it might be a little slow because YSG is not very fast, but YSG, holy cow, if there was ever a commander built for a commander like Qin, it's YSG. YSG is going to be wild. Wild. And then this is unbelievable because we already know based on Qin's second skill. Let me bring it up here again just so we can understand it. Let's go to his second skill. Iron pierces bronze. Okay. You're gonna spend or consume 100 rage to convert the damage of basic attack to direct damage. You're gonna convert that damage. Okay. Well, if you look at our boy YSG, he's got a proc that lasts for 3 seconds that gives you 100% bonus damage to archers. So you maximize that for all 3 seconds because you're converting that to direct damage. And then you got the rage engine. You gain 100 rage. Let's go, YSG, back in it. Here's what this means. Just like William was resurrected by Arthur, and just like Alex was resurrected by Luce, we got another situation coming to where the new commander for archers is going to resurrect an old commander. Now, YSG was already still being used sometimes because he's still that good after 6 years. But this is a match made in heaven. That is so crazy. It is so crazy how this thing works. And it is going to be a match made in heaven. Massive damage. So much damage, it's going to blow your mind. With 62% skill damage, that basically is all damage for Qin, plus the rage engine, plus the 100% bonus to archer attack that translates into the skill damage, plus the museum buff of 20% defense. It's going to be tanky. Plus the mitigation of taking skill damage or smite damage or combo damage. Like, holy cow, this is going to be a crazy march. Look out. He's going to work great with a lot of people. But YSG may be the one that everybody's freaking out about. I can't believe it. YSG for the win. Here we go, coming again. The other thing you got to think about with this is all of a sudden, we've gone through this. We've gone through the accessory tier list many, many times. Here's what we've got. We've got a pendant. And I've said now for 6 months, you need to dismantle your pendant. It's old, it's broken. It doesn't work. Okay? It doesn't work in the sense that 5% extra skill damage doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Because you've got so much power creep over the last 6 years. 5 years this thing's been out. And you've had so much power creep that this is just not really effective. Well, now all of a sudden, when you have a commander like Qin, that all he does is skill damage, then all of a sudden this becomes just like the greatest glory. Because basically this 5% more skill damage of all types turns into all damage. So I'm not saying to go craft a pendant, but if you have one crafted and you've really been thinking about dismantling it, or you're currently running it on marches, keep it. Keep it and run this thing with Qin, because it is like an all damage buff, okay? So if you already have it, you've already got an accessory ready to go for this guy. That's what's crazy about this. And then if you think about city skins, holy cow. City skins, you're going to be able to get yourself in a situation. Where's all my city skins here? My integration city skin. You're going to be able to run Twilight Falls, 5% skill damage. And then here's the other part. We've all got these wedge armaments. Hunter, 5% boost to skill damage. Okay. Now the second part of that doesn't look like it would work super well with Qin, but you got a 5% boost. Intrepid, 10% boost to skill damage. Unstoppable, 5% boost to skill damage. That is like all damage with this guy. That is going to be broken. It's going to be so good. People have to understand that this guy is going to be a lot of fun. He is going to be a ton of fun. And so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to put it out, get the hype going for this guy. We calculated the damage, and he does so much damage every skill cycle. It is almost double the damage of Zuge during a skill cycle when you put in Zuge's AoE. That's how much damage this guy does. So the new field commander is going to be out of control. Archers are still going to be focused. Get ready, Archer players, because you're going to have to get this guy off the field. So that's the field commander that we have seen. Qin Huang. Absolutely awesome. Now, we have a rally commander, and we'll do another video for this, but our rally commander Shapur is getting ready to drop as well with the MGE, and oh my God, you want to talk about a commander that's going to completely nerf shielding and nerf health buffing, and also take buffs and do extra effects when it gets buffs. Sounds like an Asher partner to me, but we'll talk about that next time. So don't forget to subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. And be sure to throw a thumbs up on here and like any of the videos that we do. It really helps out the channel. Thank you for helping us keeping it growing. We're having so much fun with it. And if you want to join my Discord, the link is in the description. And we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. So with all that, y'all have a great weekend and a great day, broskies.